Furious Donald Trump has unleashed a blistering threat to Iran, saying, "Open the f***ing strait, you crazy or you'll be living in hell." It comes after the US president yesterday warned the regime they had just 48 hours to reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
This is our war. And if NATO are so stupid, and our own leaders here in Australia are so stupid as to say, oh, this has nothing to do with us, nothing to do with us. Nonsense. We have to win this war. It is critical. And everyone who doesn't understand that, everyone who marches across the Sydney Harbour Bridge next to posters of the Ayatollah, I'm sorry, you are stupid.
What if tomorrow morning, nothing looks wrong at first, but something feels off? Your flight app shows delays. Fuel prices quietly jump overnight. News headlines start mentioning rising tensions again. And somewhere far away, in a narrow stretch of water most people have never even thought about, ships begin to slow down. Not stopped, not blocked, just slower. Now ask yourself this: how can something so far from Dubai begin to affect everything inside it? The hotels, the flights, the businesses, even the cost of living. Because the truth is, cities like Dubai don't just run on money or tourism, they run on movement. And when that movement starts to change, even slightly, the effects don't stay small for long. Most people only notice when things collapse, but the real story always begins much earlier, in quiet shifts that almost no one pays attention to. And today, we're looking at one of those shifts, a place that carries nearly a fifth of the world's oil, a route so critical that even small disruptions can send shockwaves across economies. So before we go deeper, take a second to like the video and subscribe if you want more breakdowns that actually explain what's happening behind the headlines. And just to be clear, this video is not a prediction or a claim of what will happen. It is a realistic, fact-based exploration of a scenario that experts often discuss, presented to help you understand the bigger picture. Now let's get into it. Right now, everything about Dubai looks strong on the surface. The airports are packed, new projects are being announced, investors are still arriving, and the city continues to present itself as one of the most stable and ambitious hubs in the world. But here is something most people rarely stop to consider. What keeps all of this running smoothly is not just what you see inside the city. It is what is happening outside of it. Because Dubai's success is deeply connected to global trade, energy flow, and regional stability. And much of that stability depends on a few critical routes that the world cannot easily replace. One of those routes sits just a short distance away, and it carries an enormous share of global energy and trade every single day. Experts have often described it as one of the most sensitive pressure points in the global economy. Not because it fails often, but because even small disruptions there can create reactions far beyond its location. So while Dubai continues to grow and expand, there is an underlying reality that cannot be ignored. The city is part of a much larger system, and that system depends on constant, uninterrupted movement. And if that movement ever begins to slow, even slightly, the impact does not stay contained for long. To understand why this matters so much, you need to look at a place most people have never paid attention to. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway located between Iran and Oman, connecting the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. On a map, it doesn't look like much, but in reality, it is one of the most critical transit points in the entire global economy. At its narrowest, it is only about 33 kilometers wide, with designated shipping lanes in each direction that are even tighter. And yet, through this small corridor passes a massive portion of the world's energy supply. According to widely reported global estimates, roughly 1/5 of the world's oil consumption moves through this route every single day, along with a significant share of liquefied natural gas, especially from countries like Qatar. That means economies across Asia, Europe, and beyond are indirectly connected to what happens in this one location. It is often described by analysts as a choke point, not because it is constantly blocked, but because there are very few efficient alternatives if something disrupts it. So when you hear about tensions in this region, it is not just local news. It is a signal that something much larger could be affected, quietly at first, and then all at once. At first, it might seem like this has very little to do with Dubai. After all, Dubai is no longer an oil-dependent city in the traditional sense. Its economy is built on tourism, finance, real estate, aviation, and global trade. But that is exactly where the deeper connection begins. Because Dubai does not rely on oil production. It relies on something even more sensitive, which is confidence and continuous flow. The city functions as a global hub where goods arrive, people transit, and businesses operate on tight, predictable systems. And many of those systems are indirectly shaped by what happens in and around the Strait of Hormuz. Take energy prices, for example. Dubai may not export large amounts of oil, but it still depends on stable energy costs to keep airlines running, hotels operating, and logistics networks efficient. If oil prices become volatile, the impact spreads quickly into aviation costs, ticket pricing, and overall travel demand. At the same time, Dubai's position as a logistics center, especially through ports like Jebel Ali, is tied to smooth regional shipping activity. When uncertainty enters key routes nearby, shipping companies adjust, insurance premiums rise, and planning becomes more cautious. But beyond all of this, there is one factor that matters the most: investor perception. Dubai has built its reputation on being a stable gateway between East and West. That reputation is not based only on infrastructure, but on the belief that the region remains reliable for business. If tensions around critical routes increase, even without any direct disruption, that perception can begin to shift. Not dramatically, not instantly, but enough to slow decisions, delay investments, and create hesitation. So the connection is not always visible. It does not show up overnight, but it exists in the background of everything that makes Dubai function smoothly. And when that background starts to change, the effects do not stay isolated for long. Now take everything we've talked about and imagine this scenario slowly unfolding. Not a dramatic shutdown, not headlines screaming crisis, but a gradual shift that most people don't notice at first. Tensions rise in the region, and as a precaution, some shipping companies begin to reroute or delay their journeys. Insurance costs for tankers moving through the strait start increasing. Transit times stretch just enough to disrupt schedules. Nothing stops completely, but nothing moves as smoothly as it did before. At the same time, global oil markets react. Even the possibility of disruption can push prices upward, because uncertainty itself carries a cost. As fuel becomes more expensive, airlines begin adjusting quietly. Ticket prices climb, routes get optimized, travel demand becomes slightly more cautious. Tourists who once booked without thinking now hesitate, compare, or delay their plans. Inside Dubai, the shift is subtle but real. Businesses that rely on steady supply chains start noticing higher costs. Importers pay more for goods. Logistics timelines become less predictable. Large investors begin watching the region more closely, not pulling out, but pausing, waiting to see how things develop. And that is how pressure builds in a modern economy. Not through one sudden event, but through a series of small adjustments happening at the same time, each one manageable on its own. But together, they begin to change the rhythm of a city that depends on speed, stability, and constant movement. This is where the impact starts to connect in ways that are easy to underestimate. Dubai's economy is built on momentum, where multiple sectors move together and reinforce each other. When one part begins to feel pressure, it rarely stays isolated. It spreads quietly across the system. Start with energy. If global oil prices rise due to uncertainty around the strait, fuel becomes more expensive across the board. Airlines feel it first, and when airlines adjust, ticket prices follow. Even a moderate increase can influence travel decisions, especially for tourists comparing destinations. Fewer bookings do not mean empty airports overnight, but they can slow growth. And in a city like Dubai, growth is everything. Then comes trade. Dubai is one of the world's busiest logistics hubs, and ports like Jebel Ali depend on efficiency and predictability. When shipping routes face uncertainty, companies begin to factor in delays, higher insurance costs, and risk premiums. That translates into more expensive imports and tighter supply chains. Businesses adapt, but margins shrink, and planning becomes more cautious. Now layer in investor behavior. Dubai has positioned itself as a gateway between major global markets, and that role depends heavily on trust, not just financial trust, but regional stability. When uncertainty increases around key transit routes, investors do not necessarily exit, but they slow down. Projects get delayed, decisions take longer, capital becomes more selective. And when you put all of this together, something important happens. The system does not collapse, it recalibrates. But that recalibration often means slower momentum, higher costs, and a shift in how confidently the city moves forward. In a place that thrives on speed and scale, even a slight slowdown can start to feel significant. So why does this matter right now more than ever? Because the world today reacts faster than it ever has before. Markets are no longer slow or isolated. The moment uncertainty appears in a critical region, it is priced in almost instantly. Energy markets respond within hours. Shipping companies adjust routes within days. Investors shift strategies in real time. And cities that depend on global flow, like Dubai, feel those changes much sooner than people expect. Over the past few years, global supply chains have already shown how sensitive they can be. Even small disruptions have led to higher costs, delays, and ripple effects across industries. Now place a strategic choke point like the Strait of Hormuz into that equation, and the stakes become much higher. It is not just about oil shipments or regional tension. It is about how quickly uncertainty can spread through a system that is deeply interconnected. Dubai sits right in the middle of that system. It connects east and west, trade and travel, capital and opportunity. That position brings enormous advantages, but it also means the city is closely tied to global stability. When everything is moving smoothly, Dubai moves faster than most places in the world. But when pressure builds in key areas, even far from the city itself, those effects can travel quickly and start influencing decisions on the ground. That is why this conversation is not about fear or prediction. It is about timing. Because in today's world, shifts do not take years to appear. Sometimes they begin the moment conditions start to change. So when people ask, could something like this really affect a city like Dubai? They are asking the wrong question. The real question is much quieter and much more important. What happens when the systems that keep everything moving begin to face pressure at the same time? Because history rarely moves in sudden, obvious moments. It shifts slowly, through signals that are easy to ignore at first. A delay here, a price increase there, a decision postponed. None of it feels urgent on its own. But together, they begin to change direction. Dubai is not fragile. It has adapted, evolved, and positioned itself as one of the most resilient cities in the world. But even the strongest systems are still connected to forces beyond their control. And the Strait of Hormuz is one of those forces that does not need to stop completely to make an impact. It only needs to become uncertain. So this is not about predicting an end. It is about understanding a possibility that already exists beneath the surface. A reminder that in a world built on constant movement, even a small disruption in the right place can echo much further than expected. And if that shift ever begins, it will not feel like a sudden collapse. It will feel like subtle changes happening all at once. The kind people only fully understand when they are already in the middle of it. Because sometimes, the biggest global changes do not arrive with noise. They arrive quietly. And by the time everyone notices, they have already begun.